You just loaded up TM Talk, the one pod to learn it all. I'm Professor Tommy.
And I'm Professor Ashley. Whether you're new to the Pokemon TCG or a seasoned trainer, we're here to help you level up your play, master the rulings, and grow your community one episode at a time.
Hello and welcome back to another great episode of TM Talk. I am Professor Tommy and I'm here with my destined rival, Professor Ashley. And we are here coming to you in video for the first time. So do not be afraid by my enormous beard or just put your attention to Ashley there. She'll make you feel calm and welcomed to our podcast here with all her Pokemon plushies. Super fun episode for you today. We have an amazing guest that we got to talk to, which is Jesper Erikson. He's a Pokemon TCG world champion. He's also a Pokemon professor. He is one of the main casting voices on all the EU regionals, internationals, and just an awesome guy all around. And really excited to share that interview with you that we had with him. Got his insights about his Pokemon journey from where he started to where he is now, and everything in between. So it's super fun. We did quick attack questions with him as well. So feel free to stick around and listen to those answers because they were very entertaining. But of course, before we do all that, let's once again talk to our listeners, right? Love it that you guys are leaving us comments on YouTube. Please keep doing it. We have two of them today from our latest episode, from at Daisy Mist 1. Says, hey, with a lot of Y's. I found your guys' channel and it's really helpful. I think you guys should get one of your kids on the channel, though. It would be so cool, especially having someone my age on the podcast. Well, that's a great tip or advice, or maybe something that we could do on the podcast, Daisy. I would definitely love to do that. I know my kids are all about it, so we could definitely do that. We'll bring one of them on, and I'll make
for sure.
Yeah, we'll make sure that they have something intelligent to help you out there.
It's nice to listen to Pokemon players from all different ages because you can, if they're closer to your age, you can resonate with them a lot more. So I think that's a good idea. So thank you for the suggestion. We'll definitely have to have somebody, one of the kiddos, up on the podcast soon.
Yeah.
Now
it should be fun.
We have another comment on our YouTube. Is from dpusula63. Hey, that's me. Thanks for having me, guys. Can't wait to get back on the show sometime. Dragapult BDIF. P.S. Ashley played Charizard. So if you guys remember, or if you don't remember, if this is your first time listening, last week I said that we were going to have a challenge this coming weekend, which was yesterday. And I had asked you guys if there was any suggestions for the deck that I was going to play because I had been so busy with work. I had no idea what I was going to play. And funny enough, Danny messaged me and he said, hey, you should play this Charizard that, funny enough, Jesper Erikson played at Stuttgart, which we'll talk about later on in the interview. You'll hear about that. So I looked up the list and I thought about playing. I started building it and then I was like, oh, I'm missing some cards and there's just so much that I don't know that I can fully pick it up super, super quick. Well, this quick because it was 9 o'clock the morning of the challenge and registration started at 11. So I had 2 hours to build a deck and get the deck list ready and everything. And I was like, this is just not going to work. I said, so we'll put this on the back burner, but it gave me a cool idea. So I have been playing Cerulege for a little bit. So I had the idea, since Cerulege EX is a Terra type, to pair that also with the Noctowls. So that is the deck that I played on Saturday, and I ended up getting third place with a deck that I just built at 9:30 in the morning. I went 1-1-1.
Yeah.
So
it was an awesome deck to see. Like when I was doing deck checks and I looked at her deck, I was like, okay, all right, we're putting a little spice in this. I like this. So that was really cool to see. And there's Danny pulling the curtain away for you guys in the podcast community. Yes, Deepasula63 is Professor Danny, if you're not figured it out by now. So yeah, we did interview him last week as well. So check out that episode if you haven't already, where we did an interview with him. Got to hear his inside thoughts on switching over from another TCG to Pokemon, and then also his trip to becoming from a player to a professor. And we did quick attack questions with him. He was the very first one. He gave us a lot of cool answers to that. And those quick attack questions will matter here in the future of the podcast. So
Yes.
there's a couple questions. We have some ideas about that. So try to keep tabs about who answers what and how we can use that for the future. I won't pull that curtain back just yet, but it should be a fun time.
We were discussing this and we just had the idea right before we started recording this intro, guys. So it was literally just a whim, and we said, "Oh, this is going to be fun." So I hope that you guys continue to tune in to us because when we do this, this is going to be super fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. And as Ashley mentioned, right, this week has been pretty fun for us. We had that challenge at our league. Ashley did get to play. She placed third, did a great job. I was able to organize and judge that tournament for us. So it was great to see everybody there. And now next week we are moving towards our cup for this quarter, hoping that we get a big turnout there for the last tournament we're going to have for the year, and then look forward to other stuff in the near future here, to the new year and to the new things we're gonna do with the league, with Pokemon in general and stuff like that. So should be really fun. Ashley, do you have anything else you want to cover before we turn it all the way over to our interview?
Hmm. Let's see. What deck? So I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to play for the cup. But if you have any suggestions, throw them out there, and I may end up playing yours because I think I've come to the part where I'm just playing these tournaments to have fun and not so much trying to point them. So I think I'd rather just play a fun deck. But if I don't, I already have the deck that I might play. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, my vote's in for Sharkpedo, like the Tox Dark Box or Sharkpedo or something like that. That's what I vote on.
Funny enough, I pulled a full art of that the other day whenever I opened a Phantasmal Flame. So I'm one down. I could play that.
We could. I will find the cards. I will go to every Dollar General in the state of Oklahoma, and I will get every Phantasmal Flames blister pack they have just to find all those cards for you. I think that'd be really awesome to play. But yeah, I will let you guys know. Probably we're going to take a little bit of time off here for the holidays. So our like next week is that Christmas week. Well, we probably won't do an episode that week, and then we won't do an episode probably for the New Year's week as well. But then we'll come back to you the week after that with a new episode, so that way you guys are rested. We can enjoy our holiday weekends and not have to stress about something. But we will come back with new content, new episodes for you guys after that New Year break. So if you have just found us and just tuned in, this is the perfect time to go back and listen to our other episodes that we have out there. Listen how we have evolved, how we have grown in this podcast journey. So appreciate everybody who has tuned in and listened and who has supported us. So appreciate that very much. And so I'm super excited now to turn it over to this interview that we did with Jesper Erikson. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys learn something. I feel like he's a well of knowledge, and for a man being 24 years old, he is probably one of the OGs of Pokemon out there. So
Mm-hmm. And
hope you
he was
enjoyed.
super fun. He was super fun to listen to too and talk
Yeah,
with.
for sure. I definitely came away with some nuggets of knowledge from his talks, and just always enjoy talking to Jesper. So looking forward to it. Hope you guys enjoy it, and definitely enjoy the new episodes of TM Talk.
Ready? Let's go.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TM Talk. So excited to be here today. I'm here joined as always with my co-host Professor Ashley, and we have somebody here who joined the studio, who needs no introduction in the Pokemon community. I'm gonna give him one anyway. This guy is a huge competitive player, world champion. He is a Pokemon caster on the European side, so he is a steadfast voice of the European regionals and internationals, and he is also a Pokemon professor. Joining us today is none other than Jesper Erikson. Jesper, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, Tommy, thank you so much for having me on. You too, Ashley. And I mean, I'm just looking forward to it. I love every single opportunity I get to talk Pokemon, whether that be competitive side of it or, professor side of it, too. And yeah, I'm just, the Discord message you sent me back a couple of weeks, like back, what was that, a week ago or something? I went like, hell yeah, this is me.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. So let's just dig into it, right? Maybe for because our podcast, we have a lot of people who are like new to the Pokemon community. Maybe can you give them just a quick like a recap of your Pokemon journey, how you got here, how you first got into competitive play, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, as the year stands for a couple of weeks now, we still have 2025 to go. But when we get into 2026, it'll be my 19th year of playing Pokemon. I started back in 2007. Been playing every single World Championship since 2008. Started casting in the 2024 season for Card Sports League and Pokemon Company. Then coupled on with Paperlight for the first time here for LAIC last time. And yeah, still competing, casting, and trying to balance out everything. And once I get the opportunity to do so, I will also like to judge tournaments. But with time and everything, I mean, getting to be a grown up now, go to university, it's getting a bit rougher. But yeah, long time player, world champion, as you said yourself, Tommy, and yeah, trying to be a voice of the better in our community.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for that little recap. It's awesome to hear like your Pokemon journey from like start to beginning. You've pretty much encompassed every part of Pokemon, or you covered it from every angle, right? Um, how has your relationship changed with the game over time? Have you felt that it stayed the same for you? Have you been able to experience new sides of it that you never thought about before? And has that increased your observation of the game?
I think the observation definitely changes once you move into the judging, especially. I have done a bit of league work. I've been a league leader. Was that for 2 years or something like that until a bit after COVID, and then changing from a player's perspective, we always thinking, these judges, they're so bad, right? Where you when you get to be the side of the judges, you actually get to see how challenging that work is, and the same as a caster, right? Was also thinking, they never observe anything. And then when you're standing there and you booth yourself, you're like, whoa, there's so much I have to keep an eye on. I have to keep my mouth going. I have to use my eyes. And I still have to listen to what my co-caster says all the time, as well as production sometimes screaming in your ear, yo, mention this. And, oh, yeah, we got this on the next graph you have to show us. So from covering all sides of things, I mean, I'm definitely one of the best in the position of saying experiences from all different sides of the game. But I'd say I've gotten, I've gained a lot of respect for every single part of the game, especially for the Professor program. And with the revamps they're doing now with the Professor program was something that we've been missing for the past 10 years. So I'm really happy that the Pokemon Company actually is listening and doing their best to implement. Now we just need to get Pokemon TG Live fixed, and then we're good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ashley.
That what you were saying about actually being a judge and actually seeing how hard it can be sometimes, that is something that we've touched on too. I know me personally, I've also dealt with that because whenever I first started playing just a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, this can't be that hard. And then I actually jumped into it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a little bit harder than expected. So, um, but looking back, um, you've been playing for a while. And so, what do you think separates players who stay competitive long term, um, opposed to those who maybe burn out a little bit and kind of veer off from playing competitively?
I'd say we touch on the burnout subject as well first, because that's a major subject for a lot of players. And we've all, when you've been playing for 5+ years, you have been feeling it at some point where you're like, this format's not quite suited towards me. Oh, I'm playing too much. I think if you get to have a a healthy relationship with the game itself. Like you're not grinding too much. In some periods, you got to grind more than others. Like up to World Championships and IC, you got to be grinding. But I think if you get a healthy relationship to the game, we can avoid that burnout first of all, and then moving on to different parts of it, where from a long-term player's perspective, there's so much you can get. When I look at new decks, I'm like, I can easily spot if it's bad or good, just off the basis that this was good 10 years ago. Whereas someone like yourself, Ashley, I mean, not having played for 10 years, you maybe have to go and use a bit more time to explore stuff. Where you maybe sometimes from experience could just go like, nah, not good. Let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's very true. I know for me, like whenever I first started playing, I definitely loved building decks, but it is very hard. And I know some people, like yourself, that have been playing for a long time, and they can usually spot the cards that are good, or they're just like, oh, let's move on to something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, um, how do you think the competitive environment today is compared with what it was whenever you first played?
So, oh my, that's there's a big difference. We have to if we just take the comparison between when we had the first international championships, and this was in 2017. At that point, I've already been playing for 10 years, right? And EYC was 500 people, around about. And now we're looking at EYC where potentially can have 4,000 masters. You can always see the growth there. It's exponential. When I played at my nationals, we were 20 juniors in my first year, and like the excitement was there and everything. And then he went to Worlds and just got smacked because she had no international experience. It took me a couple of World Championships to get to the point where, okay, suddenly in 2010, 2011, I was top 32ing as a junior. And then it took a while because the game itself was going more international when we hit 2014. That was around about when we had the first couple live streams. Worlds 2013 was streamed. World U.S. Nationals 2014 was the first U.S. Nationals to be streamed officially, and from that moment on, we saw a increase of international exposure and also the international meta game with different sites like 60 cards, Poke Beach. Limitless wasn't there yet. Stefan Ivanov had Lysander Labs for a little while before Limitless really sprung into the scene. And then once we hit what we call the modern format in 2017, everything just exploded. And first of all, popularity game was soaring, but also we just saw that the amount of people from Europe NA, they got to finally play together a lot more than they had, other than World Championships or the European Challenge Cup. If some of the NA folks went to that, which not a lot of them did actually. That was the only two tournaments a year we had exposure to each other. Now it's weekly. It's weekly that I get to see people traveling back and forth to regionals. The competitive landscape and getting an invite today is also a lot harder. We've gone from having to hit 350 CP to 400 CP to 500 CP to then top X, where honestly, I would typically have my invite by November for the 500 CP system. Where we're gone to now, I am not even sure if I'm getting my invite this season. Trying my best, but I'm at a point where it's also the skill in the game, the amount of good people we have, also the amount of average players we have is bigger. But it also feels like more so when you go into regional season with the amount of new players we have. The competition, the first 3-4 rounds is pretty soft, and then when you sort of get into real tournament, which starts on phase 2 of competition almost, that's when you really get to see the exciting stuff. So I think from any single point of the game, everything has changed. The game has gotten more draw heavy and search heavy, where one of the best cards in format in 2009, 2010 was Beba Search, which is literally, it's like an Ultra Ball. And that was a supporter card. That was one of the best. So we've moved from heavy search engines where things just went really slow. Best of one was okay because we weren't bricking a lot, into a format now that has, I think it wouldn't be wrong to say it's a bit more volatile than it has been before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's cool to get that insight from you because, I've only been playing for maybe 3 or 4 years. I know Ashley probably around the same time, but to really see like that span of what you talked about, right? Like, cause me and Ashley are like, oh yeah, like Pokemon is the game of searching, right? You have your cards that let you search anything you want out of your deck, which is so much different from every other TCG. And now to hear that it wasn't always like that, you had to play a supporter to find what you wanted to find, and that's really wild. So, like, take us back to 2015 to your World Championship run. What do you remember? Like, what's your most like defining memory of winning Worlds? Like, what like do you remember how you felt? Do you remember like this is it? I reached the mountaintop. I'm good. Or like what was your thoughts on it when you actually won?
I think, yeah, as you said, take it back to 2015. 15 was the year I got sixth. That was the first time a top cut World Championships for real. Because then I won it in 2016. If we started from 15, because that was when the story started to build. I was one of the most active players on social media back then. 14-year-old Jesper. Some remember him. He was, yeah, very teenagery. Sometimes still am, but I mean, uh, I got sick for that Worlds. I went through the day one when we had the day one, day two system. Barely squeaked through winning the last round. Only needed to go 3-2 there. And then day two, I lost my first round. We were playing 8 Swiss rounds, so you had to go 6-1-1 to hit top 8. And then somehow I had a miracle run of winning 6 games in a row and then IDing a table one. So I went from dead last to, yeah, table one in a span of 6 rounds, which was the sickest emotional roller coaster I've had in my life. And probably would not have anything like that again until, losing a top 8. That broke my heart. For the viewers out there, getting top 8 at Worlds, massive accomplishments, whether you're a junior, senior, or master. We can't take that away from anyone, but it's also the worst match to lose. I can give you just some free things here. We don't care about the money in this case because yes, of course, the money would increase when you get to top 4. But the difference between top 8 and 4 is trophy. You don't get one for top 8ing. Back then, you would get master sets of all 4 previous sets in a year. That would be a lot of money today as well. Uh, and the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 trainer, yeah, they were only given top 4, not top 8. So those 3 things were, if you combine it into a pot, is just it gives you the highest stakes match, which is top 8, and not to least say a World's End invite for next year, which is it's still like that now. And when I lost that match, I lost it versus Brent Tonneson, who I guess we all know today,
Mr. Worldwide himself.
Mr. Worldwide indeed. I mean, Pitbull invented that term; he's definitely been using it. And losing to an unknown Brent back then, and if we pull images from my Facebook, I mean he looks sort of like himself now. He's probably got a bit more curly and puffy hair now. But yeah, playing as Brent, have never met him at that point, and then started to see him pop onto the scene a bit more during the couple coming years, and then it went into a season where a couple of weeks was, do I want to continue playing? I'm not sure if I can deal with losing another top 8, or I played for almost 10 years at that point as well. Are we good now? Have we done what we needed to? And my season just started out pretty well. Then I started winning every single regionals there was, and that was when Denmark and countries themselves could organize regionals. There was a lot more regionals, and regionals didn't mean the same as they do today. And I started winning everything I touched that season. Got 4th at what would be the same term as EYC, which is the European Challenge Cup, and then got second in nationals. And then I went all right, we're gonna squash Worlds. I was second in world rankings at 1500 CP going into Worlds, and I went all right, let's do it. Let's get it. And yeah, I had a miracle run at Worlds again, playing the Vespiquen Mega, and a deck like that was not seen. Just like Mega Audino winning in Masters, every single World Champion that year is unexpected decks, because Night March was just the king of the format. And then we went into a format where you had Mega winning suddenly when you had Night March was just a better version of that. And you had Mega Audino winning, which is losing to one of the best decks in Aqua Box back then. And, my Worlds Finals is rewatchable for sure, because the amount of top decks I had was just crazy. And it's just the story of these younger age divisions where one player just gets obscenely lucky in their matches all the way throughout the tournament. And yeah, that ended up being me. And yeah, then it's the story of the rest, right? Top eight, I won, which it's a game I should never have won. I top decked myself out of it again, top decking Lysander back then, which is today's boss orders. Top four, I beat Trevenant, the item locking tournament, where he went first and could item lock on turn one, and somehow my 8 card hand after having drawn for turn was just 8 perfect to donk him. Game two, he had prized his outs to win, and then getting onto the finals. I mean, top decking Sycamore off N2-1. Game two, getting squashed in what was supposed to be how a matchup played out, and then game three, my opponent not setting up too well, and them playing N where they should have played Sycamore, giving me a fresh hand off a dead hand, and then yeah, top decking Sycamore for the win at the end, anyways. So a story to be told for sure, and it's something that I remember. And it was also one of the last worlds where Ishihara actually gave out the trophy himself. And I was yeah, lucky enough to be able to get the trophy from the man himself and shake his hand. And that is one of the things I look back at, and being able to look back at like that 15-minute clip of the award ceremony for that worlds is pure gold in my eyes.
That's amazing. I didn't know. I did not know that Ishihara actually handed out those trophies at that time. So that's got to be really special to you in your memories and that. And I picked up on something as you told the story, right? I mean, you were saying that you're ranked second going into Worlds, right? And but you say there's a lot of luck. Oh, I got lucky in my matchups, and I got lucky with my. I say this because, you know, granted, you have skill. You're a skilled player. You know what you're doing. But I think we gotta all have to kind of understand that, yeah, there is some luck into going into like making sure you're not getting your worst matchups. Like if you're not getting your worst matchup 5 times in a row, and you're like, okay, well, here I go,
Yeah,
like getting that kind of luck with like what decks you're playing against, and then hearing, hey, a top deck for the win, right? I mean, we see it all the time on stream. You guys have a graphic for it, so it is
we do.
definitely, yeah, it's definitely, one of those things. It's kind of like, hey, we are playing a card game at the end of the day, as you could put I think all your skill into it is also to help you maximize your luck, I guess, quote unquote, right? Making sure you had the best opportunities to see the cards you need and hoping you get there. And that's what your skills are really there for. So, I mean, it's great to hear that from somebody. It's easy for you to be like, well, I was just the best. I just kind of just ran through everybody, but really giving that due. Yeah.
You often can't quite say that. Yes, you can't say that when you're at a local tournament and you're just way better than other people. You can definitely be in a room with that, and that's also why I commented that perhaps like at regionals it feels like the real tournament starts on phase two, right? But if we look at it realistically, when we have a world championships, and especially not today when we have a top X system, no one's getting their worlds invite for free anymore. And then when you put all of these players into a world championships, it just means the margin for error is that much less, right? I remember this year at Worlds, where I was 2-0 and I made a small mistake, and that cost me 3-0, and then I went down to 2-2, and then my Worlds was just chalked, right? So there's a lot of things we can pick up from that and be like, hey, these tiny moments can be the difference. And at the end of the day, if I'm sitting and playing against someone equally as skilled as me or better, there's a differentiator in a card game, which is variance and luck, right? I had a game against Tor at Worlds in 2024 on Hawaii where we played 59 card mirror. We had picked the same deck for Worlds. We were testing together, played a 59 card mirror in round two, and I won game one in 48 minutes. And I felt like, oh yeah, we're good. Lean back, just want to win. Took him on a chess match and I beat him. And then game two, I just opened wrong with raw Pokemon and pass. And yeah, there we go. That was a tie. That's what variance didn't play to my side of things, right? So there can be so much. And I think Pokemon, you play perfectly, is a very fine margin game. And we underplay variance, but I think it's if you're having 3 bad tournaments in a row, for example, you can't blame it on luck. Then it's definitely a skill issue. But at the end of the day, that's also why we see people. I don't want to use myself as an example, so let's just use Tord while we already have him on it. Brent, Tord, I mean, they can have a bad tournament too, and then it may just be a matter of I picked the deck and met some bad matchups, or I mean, I just opened too many times where I just drew past. That is something that, of course, can happen to anyone, and That's why it's great to see Pokemon as a game where, even a beginner or a lesser level player can beat one of the greats if the circumstances are there. And that's why you often see these hero building stories that we see on stream, and we want to kind of fish out on stream, right? We want to show these kinds of stories, and we see them more often than not because, you know, with the fine margins, there's not going to be a lot of difference between the best player and someone who is not quite there yet, but coming up. And getting to see that, and it also means that you can level up quite quickly in Pokemon. We've seen this. I mean, back in 2013, we had Simon Road who got second. That was the second year playing overall. So you've seen the stories. I think there was a guy at Sacramento Regionals last year. First regionals, he wins. It has happened before. It will continue to happen, and I'm not an opponent against that. Actually, I am embracing it because it also means that people get to see that Pokemon, you don't need to have played for 10 years to win the regionals. You just have to play good and play correctly and smartly.
That's great words, Jesper, for that. So then let me ask you now, right? So when you sit down for regional now, does it still feel the same as it did earlier in your career? Do you still get the same, maybe, I don't know if you get the same high from it, the same buzz, the same urge from it, or like what does it feel like for you?
So if I put it into what I felt in seniors or what I felt my first year in masters, where I was really on the high of it, and I think it's changed. I've grown up. I'm an adult. I mean, I've been playing since I was 6, right? I'm 24, and it changes. Things become pretty routine nowadays. With the larger sizes of tournament, it's maybe it's wrong to say this, but it's easier to hide. I feel that I have an easier time to hide between people. Less people know me now than they would back then. Of course, it's almost 10 years ago I won Worlds, and I mean, everyone here listening, I mean, 10-year anniversary party at Worlds this year. Hook me up. But you know, it's easier for me to hide nowadays, but it's also that if you're having a really good run, people will notice. And I still get some old heads coming up to me saying, "Yo, we played 10 years ago." And I'm like, damn, it's been that long. And I just start to feel old. And I mean, maybe my back pain kind of leaves into the age I have in the Pokemon community whenever we talk about that. But there's a lot of things that's changed. And I am so excited for going to tournaments still. Uh, Traveling, I've grown a little bit tired off it over the years. I mean, my gold membership card at Sky Team has just been gotten in the mail, but um, sometimes it does feel like a struggle when I have to couple it up with grown up life, having my own apartment, moving out from my parents, all of that. And I do think that, I value more so being well prepared to tournaments than playing a quantitative amount of tournaments nowadays.
Yeah, and that's what we've kind of talked about, like just practice wise.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's better just having the more. Uh, sorry, my I think my headphones are messing up some. uh, but yeah, just having that extra good practice opposed to practicing all the time,
Hmm.
just kind of helps. So thinking of that, and Stuttgart, actually, you played the Charizard deck with the Noctowl, which ended up winning. So what brought you to play that deck?
Oh my! I'm gonna be speaking against everything I stand for here when I say this. So if we actually we started, let's start Milwaukee for that one actually, because Milwaukee, I got a message from Tord while I was sitting in the study room for my faculty at university a day before I was traveling out. Tord sends me a message. He's like, "I got a deck for you to play." And up until that point, I was going to be playing Dragon Ball Charizard as I always was, and that was, you know, what I was standing for. And then Tord says, "No, no, no, you're playing this," and then I ended up playing it. And I mean that deck was the turnout deck of the whole tournament, top 128. And then moving into Stuttgart, I kind of got the same vibes from Oscar, where he went like, "You're playing this," and then I played with him once, where he played Grimstyle, I played the deck, and it just ran. It ran as it should, and it felt natural to play it because the deck was just you go Nest Ball for Fane Rotom, and then in turn 2 you got Pidgeot and Zard in play, and that felt like a guarantee. and um, it ran pretty good. I mean, I just played against too many Dragon Ball Dusknoir, which is unwinnable for the deck, and don't believe what happened in the finals. That's not real. uh,
Variance, right? Variance again.
Variance it happens, right? The top deck in situations where your opponent is not drawing anything, right? And yeah, we got to a state where that deck was the best for the tournament, and I am incredulous of how people are still underplaying it, right? Because the amount of Dragon Ball Dusknoir is lesser and lesser, especially in NA, right? And had Stuttgart been NA regional, I'm pretty sure we actually had more of these Charizard that can cut, because that was the only match we 100% lost to. A lot of close matchups, yes, but also something like Gardevoir, we're actually beating that. So that would work pretty well in NA, but overall saying, I mean, my first, I took a couple opening hands with the deck, then I played once against Oscar, and then round one was like my third game ever on the deck. Uh, so this season I might have gone into more of a, I've tested all around the format of the other decks, and I think it also stands to the point where I can kind of play everything because I know what other decks' weaknesses are, and then we just play into those weaknesses more so than playing into the strengths of my own deck. And that's a valid strategy. Maybe had I been testing a bit more of the Oscars deck, we could have had one more win. I went 9-5. That was pretty cringe. But I think this season is probably going to be going into people telling me this deck's broken, me looking at it, and speaking of the experience of looking at decks and see, okay, is this actually legit? Is going to be the one that's going to work it out for me, whether or not I get my invite. Because, I mean, do I have the time to test the same amount as I did when I was 15? Hell no. But do I have the time to sit down and look at everything in a theoretical perspective? Absolutely. So decks like that are going to come up again this season. I'm telling you, because I mean, I know Oscar's working on it, and I'm trying to do my best towards our group, the Danish group, being able to cook up stuff. And I mean, that's also what we see from the Danish kitchen, both from him on Metafy, but also when we do YouTube stuff together, that you're going to be able to see some decks or some variations of decks where you're just like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I think when Tord comes to you and says, "Hey, you're gonna play this deck," I don't think you can say no, right?
Oh, I have done that before. It actually worked out for me. I had one once last year, and I think it's like a yearly thing where I tell Tor, okay, you tell me what to play. When I did that in Toronto last year, we ended up playing Hydreigon Pidgeot. Uh, that deck auto lost kinda to Regidrago. It was very specific lines you had to pull into, but your opponent can easily just block that. So that is what I think is my second worst Masters tournament ever at a regionals. I have had a regionals where I went 1-5-2. I tried it. And you know, I put a grain of salt on everything nowadays. I think when I saw the Hydreigon deck, he was just smacking me around because I was playing Cloth. Yeah, the deck was also terrible. Then it won UIC literally a month after Vancouver. Whoops. But you know, take a grain of salt on everything, right? But yeah, towards deck building is still fantastic. Well, I think in at least a European perspective, Tord and Oscar are the two best deck builders, and I mean, I have to have someone pull up someone for the rest of the world to me, because I'm still in the belief that those two may just be the best deck builders, not just in Europe, but the entirety of our community in the whole world.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think everybody knows Tord's name. He's accomplished everything except for what you've done, won worlds. But I'm pretty confident he's on his way there. But I think Oscar really goes underneath the radar as a great deck builder. Like, a lot of people sleep on him, and I don't understand why. But I think he's great. Like, once you hear the name and once you see what he's built and the players who have played the decks that he's built and then seen how well they've done, it's amazing to me. So, like, what stood out to you about the way Oscar built that deck specifically, the Charizard Noctowl deck, um, that made it work the way it did during that run?
Ah, so we actually tested the variation of that deck at Worlds, but there's just one little piece that was missing, and that was Dawn, right? At Worlds, we had every single card of the deck available to us, but Dawn. And we kind of had to make it work with, like, Arvin, but Puffin, but then the setup got kind of weird. We actually had the concept on our YouTube channel, so you can go ahead and check that out once you're done. And actually, we were playing it with Grand Tree at that point, and we also had a different variation we didn't get to show off, which we played Team Rocket's Petrol, and doing and all that. So the concept was there, but once Dawn came out and once the meta, it was actually showing up towards being pretty good for us. I mean, 10% Dragon Ball Dusknoir, that's lower than we used to. And then we kind of made the right meta call on that. But I think the way it stands out for Oscar, Oscar is um, a bit of a introvert guy. He likes to stay behind the screen a lot, and he has some great ideas, and he has a lot of ingenuity. He's very creative when it comes to deck building. I mean, this guy's starting to be an engineer, so it makes sense he wants to be doing all the theoretical work, right? And when I see whatever ideas he's cooking up and posting on our Discord group, I'm just like, hell, man, this is crazy. But it may just work out, right? And he posts around about 5 to 10 ideas a week in our group, and if just 1 out of 30 is good, then he's hitting on the nail. And I mean, with the Metafy group, he's posting ideas that people aren't thinking about, or he's taking spins on decks he sees in Japan and says we can do this a little bit better. And that's also what we want to angle our content on YouTube, where we want to show off these off meta decks that it can still be good, or with a little bit of ingenuity that we can build something into being good. We started with Ho at some point. We've gone through the whole mill of things when it comes to it, but that's why I think Oscar is the guy. He has not played any tournaments this season other than cups, and there's been some unfortunate stuff with getting sick before regionals, and then he did end up going. But yeah, I do really value the way that Oscar builds decks, and we started at the same time, me and Oscar. We've been best friends throughout the whole period. I've known him since 2000, and yeah, mid 2007 as well. And having seen Oscar taken off a couple of years of a hiatus at some point, and then coming back to the game like he has, I mean, getting 950 UIC last year with Dragon Ball Charizard, again, people were not really respecting that deck even after like I top 32 San Antonio with it, and the deck was getting respectable, and people were seeing his name. But I think with the way that he has been doing himself on Twitter and on Metafy this past year, I mean, he has grown into having some of the biggest Metafy communities just because of the way that he can be creative, post, and be helpful towards the community. And speaking of the quality of his guides versus how much you have to pay for them, value.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's almost criminal.
Oh yeah.
The insight that you get from his guides for how much he charges, and especially compared to others on Metafy, there's a big price gap between them. But I don't think there's a big price gap, but not a big information gap, right? I think the information is almost there, if not maybe a little bit more. So it's really awesome to see him do his thing. I think I ran into him on X when I was playing Charizard Dragapult as well. I saw his list. I was like, man, this list is awesome. And I was playing it and I loved it. I loved it so much. I was playing it all the time, and subscribe to the Metafy channel and to see what else he was cooking up. And it was it blows my mind every single time I see something new out there. I'm like, man, this is wild. But and you're right. He thinks about things that nobody else has really touched before, or in a new way, right? That people have not built it yet. So it's really cool to see that. So for players looking at this list right now, what advice would you give them before sleeving it up?
Don't play Pidgeotto. Just accept that you're losing to Dragon Ball Dusknoir. And like, I have seen the amount of comments. I got it on my own post as well after regionals where, oh, how would you make space for Pidgeotto? And I just say I wouldn't. And I've gotten the questions off people like getting coaching as well, with the way that me and Oscar relationship work, in that he doesn't do any one-to-one live. And I have experience as a teacher. I've been working as a teacher for 4 years previously, where it's like I love teaching, and then I don't have the time to do the posting. It's either or in that case, where Oscar takes that side, and I do the coaching up to decks. Where questions are: do you want to play Pidgeotto? Absolutely not. Can you do anything to beat Dragon Ball Dusknoir? Tiny amounts, but it has to be very high rolling, high variance, with like Frillish, Clefairy. Check out the rest on the Metafy. But really, you can't. You're still losing to, semi-decent players of Dragon Ball Dusknoir. So take the L, hope they brick, and hope you're playing in America where we have best of one cups. And if you're playing at Danish Cups where it's best of 3, you can just take your lunch break. Other than that, I mean, the deck is really good. When we're speaking, just to be exact here, Dawn, Charizard, Noctowl stuff. But the same goes for, Dragon Ball Charizard. Now I just seen a few posts on X where Alberto Conti has started to play the deck. And I mean, that is the propaganda I need. Because I mean, finally seeing people eyeing it up, and the amount of comments I gotten from people where it's like, I remember I had a game in Pittsburgh where I opened 3P, and then the guys go, what are you playing? And I'm like, look at me, look at my name. You know what I'm playing, bro. And kind of have these experiences of that. But I do think that, uh, we have seen people in the past. Ross Coffin been making up good decks that decided meta, but I think now we've gone to a point where Tord, Oscar are the two best uh, new creators of decks, and then we have like Henry Child Group having their Guardy supremacy over there somewhere. But in all honesty, I think with where the game is right now, creativity is big, and the level also by that point just gets bigger. Um, so it's just exciting for me to see people like Oscar getting their, you know, how would you say that? Their applause for the work that he's doing, because the work he's been doing for the community, I don't think will be the same place today had he not started posting 2 years ago and started just going at it. So I mean, uh, people like Oscar are what we need in the community to make everything fresh and competitive, and also from an outside perspective, from neutral people looking at the Pokemon community, they also want to be seeing creativity. They want to be seeing new decks winning, and people like Tord, Oscar, Henry Child rebuilding Gardevoir over and over again is a massive part of making our game look interesting and not just stale. Where we like have seen people on the Pokemon TCG Facebook groups and stuff like that being like, "Man, I'm just playing against Gardevoir all the time. Ban Limitless, shut down Limitless because everyone's playing the same deck." Uh, no, I think that there needs to be a bit more of how should we put that? A few more points of IQ in those discussions, because yes, maybe someone's also playing Gardevoir against you, but they maybe just be playing something different in the list, like Turbo Energize and Ramus, or if they're playing straight Gardevoir, or they're playing Jellicent Gardevoir. There's a lot of variations to every single deck in our game, and I think that's something that people needs to respect and also applaud the deck builders we have in the community, because not everyone's able to do that, and every single one has different strengths, and that's what I love about the game as well, is that you're able to just have so much in so few players that give to thousands of people nowadays.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know I love seeing creativity within the decks, so seeing this type of deck being built is amazing, and it actually gave me an idea to build a new deck as well. So thank you, Oscar, and thank you for playing it as well. So jumping in from you, we've talked about you being a player for a while now. So now we're going to jump into the professor journey. So what exactly inspired you to become a Pokemon professor?
So as I start off with, I want to be a voice of reason in our game, and I think when you want to do that, I think the best place to start is the trenches, and the trenches would be floor judging, right? I have just 2 regionals now, and I have very very progressive views on slow play and sufficient randomization. Together with my brother Stefan, who is a mathematics professor and knows everything about statistics and finance, that's his area. And I've learned off from that, and also people being logical, and it's something I praise a lot in my coaching as well, right? Where it's about just being logical. You don't have to do a great mathematic formula every single turn you're playing or every single game you're playing. You just have to think from a logical standpoint. And that's something I really also want to promote in the judging community, because it's like, well, does these penalties actually make sense? Do you need to, sometimes do you have to change the penalties from the penalty guidelines? And a thing I want to be saying to judges always is that the penalty guidelines are guidelines. Have to remember that often all the time, because there's always nuance. Um, And I also want to be in there to teach about, how a competitive player would look at things and whether or not things would be fair in their eyes, and also getting to learn, how it is on their side of things. I mean, it's a natural progression for at least for me. Some maybe not to get into a position of changing the game from within, and that's you got to start judging to do that. And maybe I'm also the type of person who likes to be in charge of things and have responsibilities, and by that virtue, a little bit of power. Uh, and power is not a bad word in this case. It's definitely positive, connotative in that. And it's about if you get to use that power right. And I want to be a voice for the players and for everyone wanting to have a fair game, a good game, where the judges are getting better and better at recognizing, is this fair from a game standpoint, or are we just ruining the game by giving out too many double prize penalties?
Yeah, I mean that's something that we preach a lot on this show as well. Is that there's so much variance that goes into a judge call. That's why it's called a guidebook, right? It guides you in that perspective, but it also tells you that hey, as a Pokemon professor, as a Pokemon judge, you have the ability to go escalate or de-escalate depending on the penalty and the other variances that are out there. So I think that that's a great point you bring up, Jesper, and I appreciate that so much, your insight on that, because being a high level competitive player, and then being able to see some of these calls on the professor side to be like, hey, wait a minute, let's use some logic, right, and figure this out. And is this double prize penalty the most logical penalty for this? Did it really hamper the game? Did it really disrupt the game state? Did it really, you know, what do we have to do here to keep the integrity of the tournament? And I think that's a great point you brought up. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, you're getting onto the right thing, because de-escalations, escalations can sometimes be random, and that's why I do think that from the group of head judges that we have at regionals, which is a small group, and I do like it. It's a small group of people that can be head judges at regionals, because we want to have sort of the same line of things, right? It's like going into, and now I'm just going to use a soccer analogy for all you Americans out there. So sorry about that. But it's like, is it a free kick? Is it a yellow card? Is it a red card? There's fine margins depending on how you see it, right? And getting a warning in Pokemon would be the same as getting a yellow, but getting a red carded, that feels like a double prize penalty sometimes, because double prize penalties often results in losing the game. Um, and that's why I want to be looking at that with a way of, I want to be avoiding penalties that can ruin the game. But if you've done something where it's irreversible, irreparable. Yeah, there's not much else, and I always feel sorry when I have to give out those penalties. It's the same as starting your game with 59 cards instead of 60. Sorry, man, game lost. The game is not the same, and the variance you're kind of ruining by playing less than 60 or above 60 is actually something that could ruin the tournament integrity overall if you've done it for multiple rounds. Um, so yeah, a lot of things are to be brought into there, and I think it's gotten a lot better the past 10 years, because there's always going to be issues, and we see that in sports as well, where people are just like, oh, the referee is super terrible. He's been doing a terrible job today. But then if you tell people, well, can you do the same job that they're doing with the same amount of pressure and time as well? Because all the judge calls have to be done in a timely manner too. It's going into judge calls. There's a lot of things you have to remember, like checking if both players can actually communicate with each other in English with the judge. Uh, if it's going to be a double prize penalty above, in the US, that would be assistant head judge you have to call. In Europe, you have to call a coordinator. Is it going to be a game loss, which would mean above a DPL? You would have to call head judge in Europe, and you still need to call head judge in US. But it's getting a lot more up there, and those calls have to be made quick by the floor judge themselves. And that's where I felt my experience came in really well, because I'm looking at a situation. Okay, drawn a card too many. All right, give me a coordinator. Uh, Took prizes, waited a couple of turns, and they've done something else. Okay, we're in a worse territory here. Gave me a head judge instead. Those sorts of things where I felt in the regionals I did, where I was taking myself a little bit more of a way where I would call head judge before coordinator if I was 100% sure that it was a game loss, or stuff that could be cheating or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of evolution going on with the way the judges are being, and I just have to say it again, and a huge kudos to the Pokemon Company and the Professor program themselves for introducing the new Professor University, and I have taken my first couple of exams on there to kind of bolster up a bit. Next up is going to be my I think the advanced judging things. I can actually head judge tournaments for real, and then hopefully maybe someday you'll see me in a red shirt at a tournament, and not just being a League Cup, but maybe a regionals. Who will know?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would look forward to that. And I'll try to make sure I point you out too as I see you out there. But as we talk about judging, and like organizing, running events, things like that. You talked about like, hey, getting up there. And so, what's one area of judging or organizing do you want to get better at? Like, do you think there's something that you can do better at that position?
Well, Tom, you just pointed out one of the questions in the Professor 201 exam there. And for people, yeah, bit of a spoiler, the thing you have to write there. But I think one of the things I want to get better at is deck checking. You can see I do check, like my friends, and they always come over to me, get their sleeves checked mid round, and I point out, switch this, right? But I also want to get better at the nuances of it. And I kind of want to get some experience in, how it is to actually, be in one of the leadership positions of an event. And that's why, some of the things that I've always been thinking would be super cool to do would be to be in a red shirt for an event, a head judge position, either assistant or main man himself, right? Or there may be maybe that opportunity someday, and it'll take a while, but we've seen players make the transition. Michael Pramwat is a perfect example of that. Started off a couple of years ago judging. Now he's in red shirt for most of the events. My brother, Stefan, started off floor judging. Now he's also one of the ones that I think last season he was the judge with the most head judge positions at European circuit. So the evolution's coming, and I think it's super nice that a lot of the former players where they've had jobs now, they have kids and all these kinds of things where they've just transitioned to judging instead because they feel like they also want to be able to give back to newer players and to the next generation. And I'm closer, even though it feels weird because I'm 25, like I'm almost 25, 24 saying this, but I feel I'm at a point where I also want to give back to the community, and that's my sort of community service would be to judge.
Well, that's awesome. I love hearing that because I think that's what the professor program needs is a lot of players who want to become professors and be able to bring that knowledge from playing to being a professor as well. If you're doing it now, like you said, right, if you're in the trenches, doing it now, you understand what these cards are doing, interacting. You can understand how these rules and penalties can apply to the better things like that. So thank you for that, Jesper. Appreciate it. Let's switch gears again, right? Because there's so many aspects of this game that you are involved in. You're also a caster for
Yep.
a lot of the majority of the European regionals, internationals, and things like that. So, how did casting change the way you view games when you're playing? And I'll throw something else in here for you too. Is it hard for you to stay neutral when you're casting matches involving players you're familiar with?
So I mean, it's in my contract that I have to be neutral and I have to be a voice of reason, right? Not that I have to be a voice of reason. I don't think that's actually in there, but that's something I want to be. Now, uh, let's take back when I actually got pulled on because my first event was a little bit over a year ago now. Gdansk Regionals in November 24. That was my first event, but I did have an audition previously at another event where they went, "Hey, this guy is actually okay." And I've actually done a year prior to that audition, I did a interview at regionals where the videographers and stuff at Card Force, like they went, "You're pretty natural in front of a cam," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've done my fair bit of interviews on TV and stuff," and I always want to take pride in the fact that I want to be looking good. I'm not the kind of guy who doesn't shower before an event, and I want to be looking my best. I want to be looking sleek. I'm not going to go to an event wearing jogging pants. I'm not going to be wearing Crocs. And sorry for everyone wearing Crocs out there at tournaments. Please just don't do that. Just use normal closed shoes and kind of try to actually look good at an event going to. It may be comfortable, but just don't. We want to be looking good, right? Look good, feel good kind of vibe. But yeah, and then getting the opportunity to talk about the game in a suit, you made my day, man. And you know, I feel there's so much about the game where I don't really mind if it's someone I know, because to be truthful to both of you, I know everyone. So it's I always have a bit of a background story of someone, and I always have to track on it, and I don't have to open up their limitless profiles when I'm standing in the booth, for example. Sometimes I do that before games just to make sure I'm scoped up on most things, but I feel the number one thing I bring into the casting booth is, still being one of the most competitive players on the circuit, and yet knowing everyone, and then being able to just give that, kind of twist to that story that we're bringing on. Because, I mean, the live streams are about storytelling. We want to be telling the story of a certain tournament, a regionals or an IC or worlds at that matter. And the worlds would be the sort of ending to the story of the year, right? Ending off the season with a bang and kind of being, we've gone all this way, and then finally we're here to crown a world champion. That kind of angle is what you want to have there, but here the regionals, we're building up towards that. That's why we always talk about this is just one stop on our circuit, but we will have many more regional champions coming up, and they will be joining us at Worlds. And that's also why that when I got the question at LAIC, and I answered this on the official stream as well, if I was offered to play or cast at Worlds, what would I do, right? And I say I've gotten older. I've won Worlds. Yes, I won in seniors, but I mean the money was the same as Masters, and the trophy. Hell yeah, that's also the same. And I would 100% pick casting, because I just believe, and I have such a will to show people why I love this game, and I can do that even though I can't be as flamboyant as I sometimes can be in person. And of course, I have to talk properly with people, and not cuss and stuff like that. Which, I mean, so a lot of people are surprised I haven't dropped any of those yet. But I just have this thing inside of me that when I get into the booth, it just clicks, and then you see professional Jesper, and professional Jesper wants to be, you know, following etiquette and following the rules that are set for him, but also be able to express the way that I am, and express the way that I think the game should be played. And I want to also, applaud whenever people are showing off some great skill on stream, and show people back home and educate them on why people are doing as they're doing, and why maybe something was a bit of a slip up if that happens, and why do we be making that slip up. Also to just make sure that all the viewers back home on their couches, chairs, respective things they're sitting on are not going to sit there, oh yeah, I'm so much better, and kind of explain, you didn't notice that until I said it. So also showing them that there's so much needed to be a high level competitive player, and that's where I can give my 5 cents and be like, yeah, people are making these mistakes sometimes because it's just such a high pressure environment, not just stream, because I don't believe that stream is any additional pressure unless you put it onto yourself. I think the whole tournament as a thing is a pressure cooker, and once you get into a tournament and once you start, you're 5-0, then it starts to build up in your head. It's like, you're playing a soccer game, you're up 2-0, and 60 minutes out of 90 has passed, you're thinking, you're going to win. But then you start to slip a bit, right? And I think at the end of the day, when you're having a good tournament run, your worst enemy is yourself. And that's sort of the things I want to be teaching, both with the casting, but I mean, we also had coaching as well on top of that, which I've been doing for the past 5-6 years, where I really do take the card as the person who want to be voice of reason, and I want to be the one who's able to give help to self-help, if so be said.
That's great. That's awesome. I think just hearing you talk about Pokemon, how passionate you are about it, and how passionate you are to have other people like to show those nuances, those really fine detail aspects of the game. and be able to share that with everyone is amazing, man. So I appreciate that enthusiasm, that energy you bring. I always say that the EU regionals are like my favorite to watch. Kind of do like the commentary team. I think you guys bring just a different energy than like the North America team does. But they're still great. They're still great. But I like watching EU stuff. It's fun. It's fun to watch because of those kind of things. I think all you guys kind of bring. So before we let you go, Jesper, there's something that we like to do with our interview guests. It's called quick attack questions.
All right.
I'm just gonna rattle off some questions to you real fast, and you give me the first thing that pops to your mind. It's mostly this or that, or like favorite overall.
All right. And one word answers, yeah?
Yeah, as much as you can, right?
All right. You got it. You got it.
All right, are you ready?
Come on.
All right. So booster box or elite trainer box?
Booster box.
Playmat. You like to be a minimalist or full art style?
Minimalist.
Shuffle style, riffle or mash?
Mash.
Sleeves, matte or glossy?
Matt.
Deck style, aggro or control?
In-betweener.
Okay. Favorite Pokeball?
Master Ball.
Favorite supporter?
N.
Okay, so preferred professor role, judge or TO?
Judge.
Favorite Pokemon of all time?
Oranguru. Ultra Prism.
Oh, okay. Favorite generation?
Gen, I think it's 7. 7.
7. All right. Favorite starter type, fire, water, or grass?
My favorite partner type, that's the right one, is fire.
Fire, okay. Which evolution would you bring to a tournament?
Flareon.
Best villain team, Rocket, Magma, Aqua, Galactic, Plasma, Flare, Skull, or Star?
Galactic. Cyrus is the GOAT.
I like that. I like that. So go first or go second?
Go. Historically, I say first.
Okay. What's your favorite win condition?
Deck out.
Coin flip, heads or tails?
Tails, always.
Playing or casting?
No. But I already said it for Worlds, right? Casting, yeah. Casting.
All right, all right. What's one matchup you secretly enjoy playing into?
Dragapult Mirror. Or any control mirror, actually, too.
What's your guilty pleasure deck? What's the deck that you love but you would never bring to a tournament?
I have to think about what decks we have in format. What haven't I brought? Whole Armarouche.
Ooh, okay.
That's a good one.
So one card you'd ban right now.
Iono. But not for the reason everyone's thinking.
Oh, you go ahead. Give us the reason.
I really do hate whenever a card says shuffle your hand and put it to the bottom. Just shuffle the whole thing into deck, please. Just give me a
All right, that's our quick attack questions, man. Thank you so much, Jesper, for that. Ashley, I think you had one more question for Jesper, right, before we let him go.
I do. Thank you again for being on here. So, we're going to jump into the very last question of the interview, which is what advice would you give to new players who want to break into Pokemon? Advice about attending their first major event or competing for the first time?
Don't expect too much when going in. You expect an experience, which you should, but do your best at every single way. And if we talk it going into your first regionals, I'd say play the whole thing. Regardless of if you're tired after 6 rounds, you have to get used to playing 8 anyways. So you're just gonna get used to that tiredness of things. And I think also just, get a good group going and really bounce ideas off each other. That's what every competitive player does. And I can tell you even Tor does that with people. So don't be afraid and don't be afraid to, hit up people whenever they're posting something and asking questions like, hey, what will you do in this case or something like that. And finally, if you're truly a new player and you want to get into things, you watch the casts, play a lot of games, and as well, if you want to expedite that a bit, get a coach. I mean, most people are really great at teaching, especially those things, and can expedite And just because you get a coach doesn't mean you have to be with them for a year or two. Getting a couple of sessions is going to be able to expedite something you'd learn in a year into doing that in a couple of weeks.
Thank you for that words of wisdom, Jesper. Appreciate that, especially from an old head in the Pokemon TCG community. It's weird. It's weird to say a 24-year-old is an old head, but you know what? Hey, you are. You have a
I mean, truly one, yeah.
yeah. So, hey, we asked you all the questions we want to ask. How about you? Is there anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to give to our audience? Anything like that? Any parting words that you'd like to give them, or
I can
just
give
shout out in general to your stuff?
Yeah, I can start off by giving a little bit of trivia thing here because I figured this out this summer, but I am the player with the most Worlds attendances in a row after Ross Coffin. Ross has been playing all of them since 2004, and for me being since 2008, we can count 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, 16 Worlds in a row. We have COVID closure for 20 and 21, of course, but yeah, second most more active Worlds player, and then yeah, shout outs to Robin at Libeless, who has made a lot of my cloud possible whenever I needed that. Shout outs to Oscar for basically handing me an invite last year, and yeah, my girlfriend, my family, all my teams, and everyone I've gone through on my journey. And yeah, shout out to Sunekashi Ishihara for making such a fantastic game, and the Pokemon Company International, who's making my dream of being able to tell a story that much more possible. And I mean, I just look forward to the coming years, and hopefully I'll stay good enough to be on the cast for them and helping them out, telling a story about our fantastic game.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jesper. You can definitely find Jesper on all the socials, right? Well, at least X, I know for sure. What else?
Yeah, you can. And
And
also on YouTube, you can find us at the Danish Kitchen. Me and Oscar are doing our best to post as many videos as we can. Both of us are university students, so time is tight. But here during the holiday season, we'll try to get at least out a couple more videos. We just uploaded a bit on Charizard Noctowl, where I sit down and play against Julius Brunfeld, the most happy Finnish player you will ever find, and also against Henry Brand, where I got to smack his Gardevoir cheeks. So go ahead and give that a watch after listening to this.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jesper, for being here on the show. Really do appreciate it. Tons of knowledge. I feel I'm walking away smarter. I don't know how everybody else, but no, I appreciate Jesper so much. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of TM Talk. We're definitely going to bring you more interviews as we move on. But thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to talking to you next time.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You just used TM Talk. I hope it was super effective for you. Whether you're building a deck or building a league, remember, you've got this and we've got your back.
If today's episode boosted your stats, share it with your party. And until next time, keep training, keep teaching, and keep passing that knowledge on.